यशोधनन्दन व्रज जन रंजन यशोधानन्दन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, जय राधा गोविंद राधे राधे, जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा, जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा, जय गौरानीता जय जय गौरानीता, निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, जय 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 प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती नामिने। श्रीवासभानवी देवी दैताय कृपाब्धये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर्य जल प्रेमाढ्य श्रीरूपानुग भक्तिद श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते। Namaste Gauravani Shri Murti Dinatarine Rupanuga Virutthapasidhantatvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Viplambar Sambode Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaurashakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gauravirbhava Bhumi Swam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्नि गौरतिशे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपः स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिकान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते जयतां सुरतौ पङ्गुर्मम मन्देर्मतेर्गति मत्सर्वसपदां भोजो श्रीराधामदनमोहनो दिव्यद्वृन्दारण्यं कल्पाद्रुमाधः श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा शीलगोविन्ददेवो प्रेष्ठालिभिसेवमानुस्मरामि श्रीमान् राससारं धीवं श्रीवटपटस्थितः कर्षन्वेणुसुमेर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथ श्रीयेस्तु नः तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। So the last chapter of the second unit, 12th chapter, devotional service. The whole section itself is Bhakti Yoga. Now here, emphasis on personal relationship with Krishna, personalis. What is the position of personalis? And how Krishna is not giving much importance to the impersonalis or the speculative ones who have this speculative knowledge. So Krishna is rejecting that path. That path is very difficult, Krishna says. So Bhakti Yoga. Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yukta Ye Bhaktastvam Paryupasate Ye Chapyaksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittamaha. Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yukta Ye Bhaktastvam Paryupasate ये चाप्यक्षरम अव्यक्तं तेषां के योग वित्तमाः. Arjuna says, evam satata yuktaha, those bhaktaha, those who are constantly or always engaged in the devotional service, those devotees, paripasate, they're properly worshipping you. You are beyond the senses, aksharam. You are avyaktam. You are unmanifest. And there are people who are yoga vittamaha. They are most perfect in the knowledge of yoga. Now Arjuna is asking Krishna, whom do you consider the best? The devotees or yoga vittamaha? Who are considered to be more perfect? Evam satatayuktaye bhaktaha, who are worshipping you paripasate, or yoga vittamaha, those who are worshipping the impersonal Brahman. So two people are spoken. So naturally, what is the inquiry? Who is considered the best among the best? Who is considered the best according to you? That is what is the question asked. Okay, Narayana, read. Narayana.
Yes. Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satatayukta Ye Bhakta Svam Parayupasate Ye Chapyaksharam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittamaha. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis. Generally, the transcendentalists can be divided into two classes. One is the impersonalist, and other is the personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist also engages himself not directly in the service of Krishna, but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. We find in this chapter that of the different processes for realization of the absolute truth, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, is the highest. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly by devotional service are called personalists. Those who engage themselves in meditation on the impersonal Brahman are called impersonalists. Arjuna is here questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth, but Krishna indicates in this chapter that Bhakti Yoga or devotional service to him is the highest of all. It is the most direct and it is the easiest means for association with the Godhead. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that a living entity is not the material body. He is spiritual, he is a spiritual spark, and the absolute truth is the spiritual whole. In the seventh chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the supreme whole and recommended that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. Then again in the 8th chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And in the end of the 6th chapter, the Lord clearly said that of all yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered the most perfect. So, in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They are so firmly detached that even in the preparation of commentaries to Bhagavad Gita, they want to distract other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. They prefer to meditate on the impersonal form of the absolute truth, which is beyond the reach of senses and is not manifest. And so, factually, there are two classes of transcendentalists. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle the question of which process is easier and which of the classes is most perfect. In other words, he is clarifying his own position because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time, and there was no disturbance to his love for Krishna. This important question asked of Krishna by Arjuna will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and personal conceptions of the absolute truth. Hare Krishna.
Open 8.10 and 9.15. You find two types of Mishra Bhaktas, Yoga Mishra, Jnana Mishra. One is unalloyed devotion, but there is only bhakti. When there is Mishran, they are just coming in the category of Sanishtas. They like to take other paths also. Let us see. 8.10 speaks of Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Bhurvor Madhye Pranamavishya Samyak Satam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam. So one who at the time of death fixes his life hair between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engages in remembering the Lord in full devotion, attains. Here it is Yoga Mishra. That means taking the help of yoga. Yoga Mishra Bhakta, where yoga is given more importance than bhakti. What is bhakti? Is not thinking about how to leave the body and all, how to live in this body by following the footprints of the acharyas. Yoga Mishra Bhaktas are always thinking about how to leave the body. For that, they will take the help of bhakti. Bhakti is secondary, yoga is primary. This is Yoga Mishra Bhakta. 9.15 you see, Jnana Mishra Bhaktas. ज्ञान यज्ञेन चापन्ये यजन्ते मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्. So one who is engaging in the sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge, they are also worshipping Lord as one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. So, but their taste is in yoga, their taste is in jnana, speculative knowledge. That is what is given. And then in 6.47, what is told? Yoginam api sarvesham. Among all the yogis, who is the best? Krishna says, who is the best? One who constantly meditates on me. Yoginam api sarvesha madantare madgaterantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyuktamo matah. So among all the yogis, one who is rendering devotional service unto me. So what is this? What is the meaning of devotional service? Understanding Krishna as a person. Krishna eats. There are yogis who are meditating, but have you found them feeding Krishna? Leave aside everything. Why to find others? Before coming in contact with Krishna conscious movement, how many of us really fed Krishna with whatever we ate? Why to speak of others? Even we do not do that. We may belong to the category of a karmi or a jnani or a yogi. We never felt Krishna is a person I should feel. Maximum in some of the festivals we would have done. Like in Janmashtami. In South, if you see, chida, murukku and all they will give. Or a newborn baby, what chida and murukku and all. So hard they will make. On that day, Janmashtami. So, Krishna Janmashtami. I still remember when Makkan will be kept. On that day only, other days and all. On that day, all variety things, legs, Lord's legs and all will be put. But how many of us really fed Krishna? So that person understanding, yes, Krishna eats. Now we don't eat anything without giving to Krishna. Isn't it? How many of you eat without giving to Krishna? I don't think any one of you. At least one who is serious in Krishna consciousness, he will not do that. Because he knows that he is a thief, Krishna says. Stena, he is a thief. So whatever we are eating, that first we are giving to Krishna and eating. That is devotion. In that you are not applying your brains. Krishna eats or what? Krishna is a person or what? No. Our Acharya has told you have to feed him, but he is eating. Finish. There we are not using more of the speculative knowledge. How he looks. He looks as he is in the Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha is the most compassionate form. There is Vyuha. There is there is a supreme person. There is a Vyuha. There is a Paramatma who is residing in everyone's heart. There is Archa Vigraha. So among all, now see, supreme person who is there in his abode. He is there. Then there are Chaturvyuhas. There is Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana. That's also. The same Lord is there as Paramatma residing in everyone's heart. But then how much I can feed him within my heart? Then Krishna accepts our service in the form of Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha are considered to be Asahaya Rupa, like how children are Asahaya Rupas. Children dependent on the service of their parents. In the same way, the Vigraha is also dependent on the service given by us. So that is why when you have Vigraha, you have to serve it very nicely with a great determination. So that is bhakti. Simple. In that, there is no desire for any yoga. Even devotees do some yoga like pranayam, some kapalbhati, just to cure themselves. They are not interested in this yoga path or leaving the body with that path. They are interested in serving Krishna in whatever state Krishna wants to take, they are interested. But they always want to serve Krishna. Like when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, there was a call which came, that too in the end phases, in February or something. He was called in the Middle East. People told Prabhupada, don't leave Vrindavan. Prabhupada said, wherever I go, I'll make temple, that place becomes Vrindavan. So a devotee is not much bothered what is going to happen at the time of death. But a yogi, dhyani, tapasvi, they are more bothered about all these things. What time they should leave the body, what. The devotees are not much bothered because they know one thing, yogakshemam vahamyam. They also know one of the most important words which Varadaraj Perumal gave to Ramanujan. At the time of death, the devotee need not remember me. I remember him at the time of death. Yadi vata didoshena madbhakto mam nachasmaret aham smarami bhaktaha nayami paramam gati. Because of some difficulties, a devotee is not able to remember me. I remember that person. So a devotee is not much bothered about himself. That is how, but there is a difference between a jnani, yogi, and tapasvis. So pure bhakti, pure bhakti of those exclusively attached to the Lord, that has been described. See, sixth verse ended with, among all the yogis, who are the topmost? Devotees. Actually, devotees cannot be compared also with the yogis. Why keep them in this category? This explanation is given by Bhakti Vidyabhushan. Why keep devotees in the category of yogis and tapasvis? Why we say of all the yogis? So that is how the seventh chapter begins. Seventh chapter begins with explaining what this explanation is given about the opulence of Krishna. And slowly, Yoga Mishra Bhakta, Jnana Mishra Bhakta, and ultimately, what is pure devotional service has been come in 12th chapter. All Mishra Bhaktas came, and now pure devotion. Pure devotion means considering Krishna is a person. When you say he is a person, he has a personality, he has his own choice. He has taste. He sits, he eats. It's not just he sees. He sits nice. He eats nicely. We say Angani, yes, Sakalendriya Vrittimanti. Yes, with all his senses, he can do, with any of his senses, he can do any of the activity. But then, when he wants to eat, he can sit peacefully and eat nicely. That is why the love which a person has for Krishna, yes, you are a person. That's more important. That is why this chapter itself begins with whom you consider to be the best. One who is a personalist, or one who serves you with great devotion, understanding that you are a person, or the jnanis or yogis. Jnanis or yogis, they don't have personal relationship with Krishna. They also accept impersonal Brahman, but they don't have personal dealings with Krishna. That's been spoken. Okay, second verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvat, you had some doubt, Anupama?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, this is related to my personal experience in my family. Yeah, my father is completely Radha Swami. He believes in Brahm Jyoti.
5 gods. Radha Swami means 5 gods.
And
I had interaction with those people when I was going to Vaishnav Devi, Katra. But then those people were there with me. Radha Swami.
he is
Please.
like cutter. He doesn't want to listen anything. If he sees that I'm devoted toward Krishna, he tells me, even though like I'm so old, he stops me. But my mother, she was completely devoted, yeah, and that's how they never came together into that discussion. always we saw these fights. So for me, it was like very difficult to understand still now what is right, where to go, and the easiest path is path is of course the Brahm Jyoti, because you don't have to do anything. You simply
But you miss,
meditate.
but you lose your identity.
Yeah, and it
So that becomes the
uh,
most difficult part because you're not experiencing Ananda. And the
yeah.
nature of Jiva is Anandamaya Bhyasa.
Yeah, and in the family, it was like a culture. I think I've seen, yeah, from my all the like generation families, they use still they offer one chapati and jaggery to the cow. I think they're still maintaining, and I think this is like offering something to cow is also a devotional service to the Krishna. It goes to, or what do you say that?
Yeah. Gomata service is very important.
Yeah.
But performing Gomata service and not accepting Krishna as a person, that is wrong.
Beta bini.
It goes to Krishna, right? Krishna eats, na? That also you should understand. Okay, give it to Krishna, and then give it to Gomata. Why you are eating? Krishna eats, all the jivas eat, na? Then be peaceful. Why you should also eat? Just give it to Gomata. All devatas are there. Krishna is there. Peaceful.
Yeah. So
That
is
means
that
we are
correct?
feeding our belly, right? We don't
Yeah.
want to fill Krishna's belly.
And is that correct? Like if you offer once in the morning to go Mata or serve Krishna. So because that was I have seen. One time is
Gomata
offered.
seva is very
Yeah.
important. It is said Pancha Bhuta. Pancha Bhuta Yakya has to be done by every grahastha. Once they cook, they should give to the demigods. They should give to the living entities. They should call atithis. They should give to pitrus. They should give to cows. Now, this Panchabhuta Yajna, when we are not able to do, it is very easy to do all these things just by giving to Krishna. So now, if you are giving separately also to others, it doesn't matter. Like Go Mata Seva you're doing, it is good. Krishna loves. Pitru, if you want to serve the Pitrus, Krishna is not coming as an obstruction. It's okay. Suppose somebody is not able to give to the cows, like in Bombay cities and all, you don't find much cows. So you're giving to Krishna, automatically it goes. And we have our Goshala, we are feeding cows. But it doesn't mean that we are not feeding Krishna. We have 200 cows in our Goshala. We are feeding them. So it is not that when we feed them, we should not feed Krishna. And suppose somebody is not able to feed the cows, you feed Krishna, everybody has eaten.
Yeah. Now my second question arises. Yeah, like what I have seen, like we serve once a day. Yeah, and when I came to the Krishna consciousness, no, now we are serving everything, whatever we eat. So in that manner, like sometimes I get confused. What even water, even the masalas, everything what we buy, we offer.
How?
What is the
You
correct
give kacha
manner?
masala or what? You don't give kacha masalas.
Yeah, not the kacha masala. Like the things, small things, yeah, even we buy like biscuit, and
I
I think
agree.
it's very
It
personal
doesn't
question.
work like that. Doesn't work. Like you buy some chocolates, you buy some biscuits, and you keep it.
Then what is the right way to offer?
It is given in the Smritis. Whatever cooked in your fire, when you are cooking, buy something from outside and keep. Okay. Some Krishna rejects it. That rejected mar is also wonderful. Rejected by the king. That is avashesha. What is uchishta? You are cooking. That to with great sincerity. While you're eating, how to understand whether it is uchishta or avashesha? While you're eating, you have the divine bliss. You can feel Lord in every bliss. One is just to fill my stomach. Okay, I brought something. Let me purify it. Keep it, no problem. That is avashesha, rejected mata. Krishna says, I don't want. But once you have cooked in a very nice way, and let's see sattvic ahara,
Yeah.
what to cook. That is there in our smritis, what all food should be cooked to Krishna. Not that I like something. Okay, that also can be done. That is just to purify what I have taken. A small purification. Small
Mhm.
purification, whatever it is, offered to Krishna to take.
So, like if we buy biscuit or chocolates, so it is called as a bhoga, or should we offer it for
You
the
offer
purification?
and you take it. But that
Okay.
don't expect that Krishna has eaten. You
Mhm.
don't expect that. Krishna is rejected. And that is your rejected mal, avashesha.
Okay. Thank you,
When
Mataji.
you cook, see like the temples, you see the temple food. When you go to temples, Prabhupada did not give pizzas, biscuits. Prabhupada gave khichdi. If you go to Tirupati, it is pongal. If you go to Jagannath Puri, it is dalma khichdi. So you have certain food only we should make for Lord. Just because we have trained our tongue with many things. That is why, okay, you add this, at least offer a meat. You stop your non-veg. Further, you like to munch, okay, take some soya bean chunks. But actually, that is not allowed. They are high in protein. It's not good for our body also. Just because that eating non-veg and that pachak. So that for that some leniency is given so that at least he will take up. But that is not taken by Krishna. It is said very red food, very oily food. Krishna doesn't like that we like. I like, I offer, I eat. But that is rejected. What
Mhm.
Krishna likes, there are certain food which Krishna likes. Sattvic ahara.
Mhm.
And that sattvic ahara, if we learn to cook, then Krishna, we can immediately understand the Vigraha's face itself. They're so bright. We can feed it. We can immediately understand, yes, Krishna is accepted.
Thank you, Mataji.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Mano Ye Mam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Me Yukta Tamamataha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Mano Ye Mam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Te me yuktatamamataha. Krishna says, Maya Vesha Manoyemam, those whose mind is completely fixed on me. And not only fixed on me, they are Nitya Yukta Upasati. They are always connected to me. And they are worshipping me. And how? Shraddhaya, with great faith. Parayaha Upayaha Upetaha. They worship me with great transcendental faith. Parayaha. Endowed with Parayaha Shraddhaya. Then I consider that person Yuktatama. He is considered to be the most perfect Yuktatama, most perfect in yoga. This is the topmost of all yoga. Yoga comes from the word yuj. Yuj means to connect. So he is the topmost in yoga. Yoginam api sarvesha madgadenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam tameyukta sameyukta tamamataha. Same thing. Sameyukta tamamataha. Now also it has come. Temeyukta tamamataha. You see the comparison. 6.42 and this. What is there? 6 point. Open last verse of 6th chapter. 47th verse.
Yoginam.
Last is what? Sameyukta tamamataha. What is given here? Temeyukta tamamataha. That is my mataha. He is Yuktatama. Here what Krishna says, he is Yuktatama. Among all the yogis, one who is completely thinking about me. Here also same thing. Maya Vesha Manoyemam. Nitya Yukta Upasati. Shraddhaya Bhajate Yomam. Here also same thing. Shraddhaya Parayopetas. See how much is the comparison. Where Krishna ends in 6th chapter. Actually, Krishna has rejected all type of speculators. Krishna is even rejecting the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas, the Jnana Mishra Bhaktas. Rejecting here in the sense is not accepting them to be the topmost. But Krishna says, one who is completely engaged in my service with great faith, I consider him to be the topmost. So again, passing through so many varieties, Krishna comes to this now, conclusion. They are the topmost. Okay, Jumur, read.
भगवानुवाच मय्येषो हि मां नित्यः उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ता मतः. The 15th authority of Bhagavad says, those who fix their mind on my personal form and are all engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are by me. Perfect. Perfect. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says
Keep
that.
your voice properly. Voice is not coming properly. Keep the sound properly.
Now is it okay? Perfect. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered the most worshipping loka. For in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi.
So we have read about Samadhi, Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Prachachetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhau na vidiyate tatra my true body Samadhi Samyagadiyate asmin Atma Tattva Yathatmayam. When we started this second unit, I told you all to learn this Samadhi Samyak Adiyate asmin Atma Tattva Yathatmayam. Nirukti Dictionary speaks about it. Second chapter, Open Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam. So you should know what is the meaning of Samadhi. Nirukti Dictionary speaks 44th verse. In that there is a meaning of Samadhi. Okay, 2.44 meaning of Samadhi. So Samyak Adiyate asmin Atma Tattva Yathatmayam, understanding my relationship with Krishna. Next. Ye tvaksharamanirdesham avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutasthamachalam dhruvam sanniyam yendriyagramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhutahite rataha. Ye tvaksharamanirdesham avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutasthamachalam dhruvam sanniyam yendriyagramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhutahite rataha. Krishna says, Yet paksharamanirtesham. Aksharam. I am beyond this perception of the senses. Anirdesham. I am indefinite. Avyaktam. I am unmanifested. Pariyupasate. Those who are worshipping this unmanifested form, which is all pervading, sarvatragama, achintyam, very inconceivable, kutasthama, unchanging, achalam, immovable, dhruvam, it is fixed. So how they do this? First they try to control their senses. Even to become a jnani, first one has to control the senses. So this aksharam also refers to meditating on oneself, meditating on the soul. That is also aksharam. So first what they try to do, they control the senses. They focus on I am not the body, I am soul. I am not the body, I am soul. In this way, here aksharam also refers that. Now they can understand their relationship to Krishna only when they know that they are servant of Krishna. Now they don't want to serve only, then how they will meditate on that person? So here aksharam refers to whom? It is the soul. So jnanis and the yogis, they actually first meditate on themselves, and sometimes they are misled till they come to the point of having contact with the devotee. They will never understand the difference between Atma and Paramatma. Once they know the difference between Atma and Paramatma, then the servitorship starts. There, where bhakti starts. Just a yogi, just a jnani. Yoga Mishra Bhakta, Jnana Mishra Bhakta at least take some help. They'll take some help of bhakti, try to perfect their yoga. They'll take the help of bhakti to perfect in jnana. But their inclination is always to know that Aksharam. Here is Aksharam actually refers to Bhagavad Gita, writes this actually refers to Jivas. They're trying to understand their own nature. Their own nature. I am not the body, I am soul, I am imperishable. See, you see all the qualities of soul has been put. In the second chapter also we studied. From 11th chapter to 30th chapter, all these things we studied. How soul is immovable, how it is fixed, how it's unchanging. So that is known as the impersonal conception of the absolute, because there is a misunderstanding about the soul and the absolute because of not understanding the personal individuality of the soul and the super soul. That is how Krishna begins his Sankhya, with showing the individuality of the soul. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipaha nachayvana bhavishyama sarve vayamata param. Second chapter, 11th verse speaks about it. Very 12th verse speaks about it. Very clearly Krishna says, I, you, all the kings were existing in the past, in the future also we will be existing. But here, if a person is meditating on impersonal, where is the personal concept? That is why these are confused personalities. Simple. They are trying to control the various senses. Then they become very wise to everyone. And then such people, they are mostly engaged in welfare activity. They say, Daridra Narayan. Narayan is never Daridra. They serve like this everyone. Human service is Lord's service. Jana Seva, Bhagavan Seva, something like that proverb is there. You serve people, automatically you're serving God. So like this and all, they will make proverbs. And they will try to do all type of welfare activity. So in this way, what they're trying to know, they are trying to give many things, sacrifice many things. Attachments has to be removed. That is how they're trying to control their senses. Lot of charity they will give. Oh, I don't have any attachment for anything. I am just a soul. You're serving whom? Or did you offer to Krishna? See, that is all sentimentalists. Sentimentalists worship the Vigraha. Okay, Vigraha worship should be taken for some time till a person becomes intelligent. Afterwards, Vigraha and all is not there. All unmanifested Brahman. So they talk many things and they are confused. They confuse others also. Because they are not doing simple worship, they don't have simple mind, simple intelligence. Because of that, they are so confused, they'll always do some welfare activities. They'll go. Their gurus also will engage them. Like in BS, if you see, like Radha Swami told, everybody will be engaged in doing so many welfare activities. So many people will come, they'll do agriculture, they'll feed people. So in this way, they are trying to do many things. Because to attain that bliss. And they are not able to understand where really the bliss is. Everybody is searching for that happiness, no doubt. Every one of us are searching for that happiness. Nature of the soul is to be happy. But we don't know where to find. That is why we try to do many things. Very kind to everyone, very polite to everyone. Trying to do lot of welfare activities. Exactly opposite are the devotees. They will never show artificial kindness. Hey, hello. Hare Krishna, take prasadam, go. You say, what is this, where I have come? And devotees are so hard and harsh, but their heart is very soft because they have accepted Krishna. But if you go to some other institutions, they're very, very soft, very nice, very kind. Hmm? And devotees, on the contrary, sometimes they fight. But it doesn't matter. Devotees are devotees. Why? At least they have accepted Krishna is the supreme, whatever they may be. Because the nature doesn't change in one day, it will take time. Actually, when you take Krishna's name, all your dirtiness comes out. It is blooming. When the room is closed, the dust is settled. You don't know whether dust is there. You start brooming, the dust comes up. So, whatever artificial behavior, the moment you start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all your artificial behavior goes out. That is the time you show your real form. Sometimes they say, hey, what is this? As a devotee, you're screaming. As a devotee, you're so angry. What to do? This was there from various life impressions. And now it is coming out. Good. Let it be seen. Doesn't matter. Slowly, slowly, he rectifies himself. That is why Ashray of the Guru, Ashray of the Guru Tattva is important. At that time, when his nature completely improves, he is no more artificial. Devotee is also doing welfare activity, but that welfare activity is really giving the benefit to others. So it is a topmost welfare activity. These welfare activities done by the impersonalities just to have control in their senses. And then they want to understand that Aksharam. So like this. We also had one of the person in our group. I cannot call him a devotee. He was a NASA scientist. And we all had gone to his house for DC program, devotee care program. Counseling, you can say. All were chanting and he was keeping his eyes closed. What are you doing? I said, what? Meditating. On to whom? Why? Shuddha Sattva. What is it, Shuddha Sattva? Now I am become equal to God. As a result, I was thinking I'll slap him. But told his wife, you remove the photo of Lord, give it to me. Keep his photo, put Chandan Har, worship him. That means what? He's dead now. He's as good as dead only, no? If he talks like this. So then he was very angry. Then he stopped speaking to me. Till today, he doesn't, beach somewhere here and there, I call him. Then I just see that whether he's alive or whether he's changed or what it is, an old man. Just see, control over senses. You could not control your senses when you heard that your photo is going to be hung. So what control of senses? What should the Sattva? On the contrary, devotee is very simple. He just worships in the morning, whatever has been told. He chants the holy name, he reads, he brooms, he cooks. He goes and buys vegetables, he's engaged in the missionary activities. Simple way to attain Lord. Okay. Hansrubi Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna. Ye tvaksharam anirdesham avraktam paryupasate sarvatra gam chintayam cha utastha machalam dhruvam tanni maye nintrya gramam sarvatra sambuddhaya
Sama.
prapuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataha.
There was Sama. Sama Buddha. Some don't say Sam. Sama.
Sambuddhaya.
Sama. Sama.
Buddhaya. Translation. For those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, or the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone. Such persons engage in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead, Krishna, but who attempt to achieve the same goal by an indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal. Sri Krishna, after many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudeva is all. When a person comes to full knowledge after many births, he surrenders unto Lord Krishna. If one approaches the Godhead by the method mentioned in this verse, he has to control the senses, render service to everyone, and engage in the welfare of all beings. It is inferred that one has to approach Lord Krishna, otherwise there is no perfect realization. Often there is much penance involved before one fully surrenders unto him. In order to perceive the supersoul within the individual soul, one has to cease the sensual activities of seeing, hearing, tasting, working, etc. Then one comes to understand that the supreme soul is present everywhere. Realizing this, one envies no living entity. He sees no difference between man and animal because he sees soul only, not the outer covering, but the common man. This method of impersonal realization is very difficult. Hare Krishna.
And then Krishna says, what happens in such type of worship when he is worshipping the unmanifested form and all these things, what will happen then? Krishna says you will only face difficulty. So it's not so easy. You can worship on the form, you cannot worship on the formless. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्तो हि कतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिर्वाप्यते क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्तो हि कतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिर्वाप्यते. In the schools, 12th chapter is very important. So my Prabhuji by heart, he's also chanting. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्तो हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. Krishna says it is very difficult. Kleshaha. Klesho adhika. That is adhika kleshaha. Kleshodhikata adhikarastesham. Avyaktaha asaktaha chetasam. One who is attached to this unmanifested form, whose mind Chetasam, whose mind is attached to this unmanifested form. Avyaktahi katir dukkham. You will only experience dukkha. Dehavadbhiravapyate. You have got a body. That means you can worship only on those which has a form, because you also have a form. How can we worship on a formless? How can we meditate on a formless? That has been emphasized. So those here Srila Prabhupada says there are Jnana Yogis. Who are these Jnana Yogis? One who follow the path of inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Lord. It's not so easy because you are embodied, Krishna says. It's not so easy to meditate on the impersonal Brahman. Nirguna. In one sense, Krishna has no material form, but Krishna has a beautiful form. So in Vedas, one place is said Krishna has no form. Yes, it has no material form. One place Krishna is said Krishna has a beautiful form, Sachidananda Vigraha. Anupama, read. I'll read, you read behind me. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् धिकतरस्तेषां अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् सक्तचेतसाम्
अव्यक्ता
सक्तचेतसाम्
सक्तचेतसाम्
सक्त till the full सक्त
सक्तसाम्
Saktate shatam.
Sakta Teshastam
Chetasam.
Chetasam. Yeah. Avyakta Sakta Chetasam.
Avyakta hi katir dukkham.
Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukkham.
He is not there. Avyakta hi, small he. Avyakta hi katir dukkham.
Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukkham.
Dehavat bhiravapyate.
De Deha Vad
Vadbhir. Vadbhir.
Vadhir
Vadbhir.
Avyapate.
Vadbhir. Avapyate.
Avyapate.
Avap. Huh?
Avapate.
Avapyate. Avapyate.
Avyapate.
Vya is not there. Ava. Ava.
Avapyate.
Okay.
Avyapate.
Huh?
Translation.
What did he say?
Okay.
Avapyate.
Avyapate.
Are? Ava.
Av
Ava.
Avapate. Avapyate.
Ah.
Avapyate.
Mm. See, if you go on reading, I will also forget.
Sorry. Translation. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal features of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for who are embodied. Purport. Purport by Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. The group of transcendentalists who follow the path of inconvincible, unmanifested, impersonal feature for the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis, and persons who are in full Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service to the Lord, are called Bhakti Yogis. Now, here the difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one to the same goal, is very troublesome, whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is easier and is natural for the embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind, which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His form within the temple is not idol worship. There is evidence in the Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna of the supreme processing or not processing attributes. Worship of the deity in the temple is Saguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities. But the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. The crude example may be given here. We may find some mail boxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty. But any old box or an imitation which we may find somewhere but which is not authorized by the post office will not do the work. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all powerful, therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, He can accept the service of the devotee just to make it convenient for the man in conditioned life. So, for a devotee, there is no difficulty in approaching the Supreme immediately and directly. But those who are following the impersonal way to spiritual realization, the path is difficult. They have to understand the unmanifested representation of the Supreme through such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads, and they have to learn the language, understand the unperceptual feelings, and realize all these processes. This is not very easy for a common man. A person in Krishna consciousness engaged in devotional services simply by the guidance of the bona fide spiritual masters, simply of offering regulative obeisance unto the deity, simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, and simply by eating the remnants of foodstuff offered to the Lord, realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. There is no doubt that the impersonalists are unnecessarily taking a troublesome path with the risk of non realizing the absolute truth at the ultimate end. But the personalist, without any risk, trouble, or difficulty, approaches the Supreme Personality directly. A similar passage appears in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is stated there that if one unlimitedly un- ultimately has to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, this surrendering process is called bhakti, but instant takes the trouble to understand what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, and spends his whole life in that way. The result is simply troublesome. Therefore, it is advised here that one should not take up this troublesome path of self realization because there is uncertainty in the ultimate result. A living entity is internally an individual soul, and if he wants to merge into the spiritual whole, he may accomplish the realization of the internal and knowledgeable aspects of his original nature, but the blissful portion is not realized. By the grace of some devotee, such a transcendentalist, highly learned in the process of Jnana Yoga, may come to the point of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. At that time, long practice in the impersonalism also becomes a source of trouble because he cannot give up the idea. Therefore, an embodied soul is always in difficulty with the unmanifest, both at the time of practice and at the time of realization. Every living soul is partly independent, and one should know for certain that this unmanifested realization is against the nature of his spiritual blissful self. One should not take up this process. For every individual living entity, the process of Krishna consciousness, which entails full engagement in the devotional service, is the best way. If one wants to ignore this devotional service, there is the danger of turning to atheism. Thus, the process of centering attention on the unmanifested, the inconvincible, which is beyond the approach of the senses, as already expressed in this verse, should never be encouraged at any time, especially in this age. It is not advised by Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So the Brahman without qualities, how they are described. Kleshodikatarastesham abhyakta saptachesasam, how it is described, it's abhyaktaha. It is anideshyam. Like this, the Brahman is described. Sarvatvagama, it is all pervasive. It is achintyaha, cannot be comprehended. And then it is The world is very false. The world is false. Like this, all they'll speak. The world is actually Satyam. Jagat Satyam. That is how Navaprameyam starts. Jagat Satyam, Madhvacharya speaks. But they say Jagat Mithya. And then it is actually illusory. This Atma is Sputastham. Like this and all they'll speak. The Atma is actually situated in all the false attributes. It is Achalam, Adhruvam. So then speaking about Brahman, Sarvam Khalidam Brahman, everything is just same. So like this, their speech is like this. Now what how they will concentrate on the Brahman without qualities, then they say it is Aksharam. So they are actually confused. That is why Krishna says it is very klesha, it is very difficult to understand. Next. Because something has no quality or devoid of quality, it has no personality. When it has no personality, how will you meditate? On what you will meditate? Like you cannot meditate on air. How will you meditate on something which has no form? And they say it is Aksharam, Apyaktam, Sarvatragama. What? Then trying to meditate on oneself. But on what? Again, there's no form. Then which has no form, it's very difficult to meditate upon. Whether their words are having so much of jnana, but there is no bhakti. Next, 6th and 7th. Yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat pata Mayyaveshita chetasam yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samudhartam mrityu samsara sagara Bhavami na chirat partha mayyaveshita chetasam. If possible, memorize all the 20 verses. They are very important verses. Pure devotional service. Krishna says, Yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha is a matpara devotee. We know matpara has come in 2nd chapter, 60th verse. Open. Who is a matpara devotee? When you go ahead, now you will forget whatever you have read in the past. That is why to revive. Open. Matpara, 61st verse. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. Matpara, you have seen the purport. Matpara, what is the meaning of matpara? Baldev Vidyabhushan gives Mad Bhakti Prabhavena Sarvendriha Vijaya Purvika Swatma Drishti Sulabheti Bhava. That is known as Matpara. Matpara. Mad Bhakti Prabhavena. Mad Bhakti Prabhavena. Don't yawn. Bad habit. Kanchan Mishra, go and sleep. Don't yawn. Read when I am reading. Always I have seen you yawning. You should never yawn when you are studying. It's a bad habit. Mad Bhakti Prabhavena. Sarva. Open that verse 2.61. Read that. Read along with me. Mad Bhakti Prabhavena. Sarvendriha Vijaya Purvika. Swatma Drishti Sulabheti Bhavaha. Very important. What is the meaning of Matparaha Bhaktaha? Because of the influence of my devotional service, he has controlled his senses. That is why he is able to understand his relationship with me. Swatma Drishti Sulabheti Bhava. Okay. Here also same thing has been told. See, Mai Sanyasya Matparaha. Yukta Asita Matparaha. Mai Sanyasya Matparaha. So if you try to understand these words, the Bhagavad Gita becomes very, very, very meaningful to understand. Or you will go on studying, nothing goes in the head. So yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha. See samadhi word, matparaha word. They are very important words. Try to memorize these verses. Ananya neva yogena. So how you are attached to me without deviation, without any division, without deviation. Ananya neva yogena. Mam dhyayanta upasate. You are meditating upon me. Then Krishna says, Tesham aham samudharta. What I do? I deliver that person from this samsara, mrityu samsara, sagarat. It is a ocean of mrityu samsara. I deliver him. Bhavami na chirat partha. Bhavami na chirat partha. So after a long time, na chirat partha. It doesn't take long time. Maya veshita chetasam. I am swift deliverer, Krishna says. It doesn't take long time for me to deliver that person who has kept his mind onto me, who has fixed his mind onto me. So here now Krishna is emphasizing on his personal meditation. One should meditate on Krishna. One cannot meditate on void. One cannot meditate on impersonal. One has to meditate on Krishna. Then that meditation is perfection. Okay, Krishna Priya Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogina mam jhayanta upasate teshamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat pardha maya vesita chetasam. Translation. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities into me, being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Partha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is greater and that the individual soul is subordinate to him. His duty is to render service to the Lord. And if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can appreciate only by devotional service. Therefore, one should one should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devotee himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such a transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay, he will deliver a pure devotee, thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and other takes the opportunity to various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord Himself takes him. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verses appears. Nayami paramam sthana marcharadi gatim vina garudaskandhahi marohya edecha munivaritaha. The purport of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planet. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord Himself. He clearly states here that He Himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by his great mercy, comes at once, riding on his bird chariot Garuda, and at once delivers the devotee from material existence. Although a man who fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayaniya, this is confirmed as Evai sadhana sampattihi Purushartha Chatushtaye Taya Vina Tadhapnoti Naro Narayanasrayaha. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different process of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic process, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is a specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily, but this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarvar dharman parichajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami mam suchaha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not fruitlessly try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the supreme omnipotent Godhead, Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. Hare Krishna.
You see, Prabhupada is not tired of writing pure devotional service. But he is tired when he writes about some ritualistic things. But he's never.
Mataji, you are in mute.
No, I'm not in mute. I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So he's not tired of writing about pure devotional service. Mayyeva mana adhasva may buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva ataurdhvam na samshayah. Mayyeva manadhasva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshayah. Krishna says, Mayyeva adhatsva, fix your mind onto me. Ambarish Maharaj also says the same thing. Savai manha Krishna padaravindayoh. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. When your mind is fixed, automatically your intelligence will be applied. Nivasishyasi mayyeva. In this way you will live with me. Ata urdhvam nasamshayah. In this way you will attain me. Fix your mind. Fix your mind onto me. Fix your intelligence onto me. And in this way, you will attain me without a doubt. Continue, Shramataji, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mayyeva mana adhastva mayi buddhim niveshaya niveshishyasi mayyeva at urdhavam na sansaya. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane, he lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so. Although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures. Hare Krishna.
This is the last verse for today. 9th verse onwards we'll do on Monday. Krishna says, fix your mind on me. Somebody says, I cannot do. Okay, cannot do, at least follow the regulatory principles. Okay, I cannot do that also. Okay, work for me. No, then Krishna says, give your fruits to me. At least give the results of the fruits. So Krishna is giving various options so that somehow or the other be in contact with Krishna. Either with your mind, or by following the regulatory principles, or by working for Krishna, or giving the fruits to Krishna. So here we'll stop. Any questions you can ask. Any questions?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Mataji, as you said to Anupma Mataji, that if we are cooking some oily things, then Krishna will not accept that. Krishna
When
don't
not
like
oily,
that.
you have to cook oily only. Na. Without oil, you will cook our. It should not be too oily. Na. Without oil,
Others-
you will give only boiled food to Krishna. Krishna will not accept. Cook with everything medium, little sattvic, not too oily, not too spicy. Everything too should not be there. Something in the limit.
Puri sabji is okay.
Puri, yes. Fried and all you should give. Na. He likes fried things. When you say oily means it should not float. The thick floatings of oil. It should not look very dirty. Even you don't like to eat, isn't it? Too much oil in the vegetables, too much thick oil. You will not like, na? But deep fried he likes, puri sabji he likes, feed him. Na? Okay, Narayan Damodar.
Mataji, I have two questions. First is, there is one category of devotees, I would say, who read Bhagavad Gita and they also consider Krishna as supreme, but then they also consider Krishna as a Brahman. And when they offer some sacrifices, they say Krishna Arpanamastu. So, which category, when they offer their services, they say Krishna Arpanamastu.
Krishna Mastu, na? Krishna Arpana Mastu, na?
So, which category do they belong? Are they impersonalists?
If they are offering something to Krishna, they are not impersonal. They consider Krishna as a person. That is why they are feeding Krishna. If they are feeding Krishna just as a ritual without understanding that he is a person, then they are artificial.
And what if they say Krishna is the ultimate Brahman?
Yeah, he is the ultimate Brahman. No? He is the source of all the Brahman. He is the source. No?
So they also fall in the category of pure devotion?
See, understanding that he is the basis of Brahman, it is nothing wrong. Krishna is a person. That is more important. If they understand Krishna is the basis of Brahman, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, Krishna says, I am the basis for Brahman. There is nothing wrong in that. Just by hearing the word Brahman, you should not be scared. Krishna, three features: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan.
Yes.
Till the point, if they know Krishna is Bhagavan, then they know these two aspects also. And Krishna is the source of Brahman, and Krishna is one of the feature of Krishna is Paramatma, localized Paramatma.
Okay. My second question is that many times Prabhupada writes about Mayavad, and there are a lot of things to read about Mayavad philosophy, about impersonal Brahman. So, what would be the devotee's attitude in that case? Should we simply just keep on doing our service and just ignore all of this?
Huh? What?
There is lot of literature and lot of in the age of social media, there is lot of information that is out there. So, what should be the devotee's attitude? Should we simply ignore?
Devotees don't read that books. Mayavadya bhashya sunne sarva hoye nash. So better be away from such literatures. But they are very confusing. They're very confusing because that starts with this only. That unmanifested Brahman has now manifested. And then Mayavad and impersonalists. There's a little bit difference. All Mayavadis are impersonalists, but all impersonalists are not Mayavadis.
Yes.
Mayavadis go to the limit of telling they are only God. There is no difference between God and themselves.
Yes.
Personalists, they consider Lord as impersonal, that much only.
Yes. Okay.
Narayana, whether you have doubt, hands are up.
No, that was mine only.
Okay. You now feel like to go and sleep only, where doubt will ask. Okay, Janardhan Prabhu. Gadi Prabhu, not audible. What type of mic you have kept? I only don't know. What? Yeah.
Krishna, now audible, Mataji? Mataji, will you please once again explain this? Teshamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagar. Once again, please.
Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagar. I only deliver. I only take. Tesham aham, I. Mrityu samsara. I deliver a person from this mrityu samsara. I take him. That is why it said, Samashitaye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murari bhavam buddhir vatsa param padam yad vipadam natesham. This is a very beautiful verse which is said, Samashitaye padapallava plavam. Just take shelter of Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet. Teshamaham samudharta. Just take shelter of me, I will cross you. How this devotee is sitting on the lotus feet of Krishna. And this lotus feet of Krishna is considered to be the boat, Mahatpada Pallava Plavam. And this boat is so huge that this whole samsara becomes like Vatsapadam. The padam or the place which is occupied by the hoof print of a calf. So what happens? It's very easy to jump on the other side. Padam yad vipadam natesham. Every padam there is only vipada. When I did Bhakti Shastri, I still remember this verse was taught one day before. Next day, it was asked, who knows this verse? I don't know. Somehow I had learned this verse because I like this verse. So many times, padam comes. Samashitaye padapallava plavam. Mahat padam. This now becomes a big padam. Mahat padam. Whose it is? Punya yasho murare. Then what happens to this Bhavasagara? Bhavam buddhir ambudhi, the sagara. Bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam. It becomes just a small place. And this material world is like padam padam yad vipadam natish. Every step there is danger. Tell me where there is no danger. You stay at home also there is danger. You go outside also there is danger. That is why take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Then tesham aham samudharta mrityu sansara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha ayyaveshta tasam.
Mataji, this verse you quoted, na samasit, this is where, from where?
Samashitaye padapallava plavam.
A reference from where? This is again.
I will put in the group.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
In Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto,
Yes. Put in the group.
14th chapter, 58th verse.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
2.61.
What?
2.61.
0.61. Kunju.
చూడు చిన్న పిల్ల 3.5 వర్షాలు ఎట్లా చెప్తుంది.
You want to chant one verse? Samashitaye padapallava plavam. You want to chant? Which verse you want to chant?
Padi, can I sing? Padi, can I
Which-
sing?
What?
Padi,
What
can
is
I
she saying?
sing? Can I sing?
What she's telling?
Can I sing?
Yes, yes, sing. Sing. Voice is not heard. Okay. I'll hear you afterwards. Now let everybody sleep. Hari Bo. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya